Yes, I'm Julia. I'm Biodiversity Technical Specialist, and I work on major infrastructure projects to deliver what's called Biodiversity Net Gain. So these are roads, these are railways, these are housing, these are power projects, all to build and operate these projects in a way that deliver benefits for the natural environment. So why is biodiversity an important topic for the construction sector? I think there's two things there to unpack. So one is that we depend on the natural environment to, when you work in major projects delivery, so you're building major infrastructure such as roads, such as railways, power distribution, we depend on the natural environment for resources, to deliver the tarmac, the concrete, just the physical infrastructure. But also when we're building this, we can't build this with extreme weather events or with soils that are really damaged or degraded. So we depend on the natural infrastructure as part of that, what we do in terms of construction. But also it's important because we do have legislation protecting certain parts of species or certain species, certain wildlife and habitats that are endangered and are rare. And so it's following the legislation, but also actually thinking from a sustainable development point of view, not just going through the motions of protecting wildlife, but actually getting to a place where we can build development with enhancements for biodiversity and for the natural world. So when you start off with a project, you need to think and look about this project. Okay, so how do we design, build, maintain and operate this project in ways that deliver benefits from the environment? And that's a big step change. We've had a legal and a consent system that allows these projects to go ahead with an amount of biodiversity loss, and it's always deemed as being the acceptable loss, but that's no longer okay, because all these acceptable losses and all these individual projects are stacking up. And this is stacking up not just in terms of time, but in geographical space as well. The trick is to really think about this as early as possible, because then you embed it deep within the project mindset, deep within the design, deep within the construction. People always say to me, biodiversity net gain is such a big thing. It doesn't have to be that way. If you truly start the thinking in terms of, we're going to design and build these projects with net gain outcomes, then you follow that through the design life cycle. You start with avoiding what's really important. What's the really important biodiversity aspects that we need to avoid and minimize our impacts on. Then as you work through that, you say, okay, where are the opportunities and where is the space to plant habitats, to create habitats, to restore habitats, to create new homes for wildlife? You follow that through the design cycle. And what doesn't work is when you get to a certain stage where the major decisions have been taken on a design project, and then you try and retrofit nature in. That doesn't work, and it's more costly and more time consuming at the end of the day. What is biodiversity net gain? Is development that generates measurable improvements in biodiversity. So from the start of the development, what kind of biodiversity did you have? And as you go through the design and the build, at the end of that, nature's better off. So because you built that road, because you built that railway, because you built that housing development, nature's better off than when you started. And that's the benchmark. It's pretty simple from that point of view. I think now is the time for us, to really change people's attitude towards construction. We're typically the people who cause the roadworks or who are noisy or cause disturbance, whereas actually we're the ones now that are not only building and improving our infrastructure, that we're delivering the benefits for the environment. We're the ones looking at the problem and saying, this is our bit and we can do something about that, and really changing not just how people see us in construction industry, but changing the industry and how we work.